Welcome back to the programme. Now, we started the show talking about those European elections, far-right parties surging in places like Germany and France. So what's driving their popularity? Well, today I sat down with the acclaimed author, Naomi Klein. She told me the trend is part of a wider problem of global leaders misunderstanding voters and leaving a void for populist leaders to exploit. They do so by tapping into people's fears, and whether they get the facts right doesn't really matter. It's all about emotion. So how should the likes of Emmanuel Macron respond? Well, in Klein's view, it's not by calling a snap election. Here's her take.
I'm worried. I'm worried by the snap election in France because among other things, I think that Macron has gone back to the fear well of, we are not them, maybe one too many times. And I don't think it's going to work as well this time. That's my concern. A lot of what I've been writing about and researching is how when you have a sort of weak centrist political power base that is not meeting people's urgent economic and social needs, the right becomes a lot more attractive, and especially when you have center left and center right parties that are adopting a lot of the policies of the far right, and then the distinctions get a lot blurrier, and it's harder to scare people and say, well, this will be the end of the world if France votes for Le Pen, and I do think it is incredibly alarming.
What do you think it is about the messaging of the far right? You say that the centrist parties don't meet the needs of the people. What is it that they're sort of selling to people that makes them feel that their needs might be met if they vote this way?
Well, I think what they're capturing is a genuine feeling of brokenness, that the system is broken, that it's failing. They're also capturing a sense that the system is rigged against you, which is actually true. I mean, we have an economic system that is serving elites, and the cost of living, as we know, is soaring. A lot of things really are breaking, including our planetary systems. So when you have center-right and center-left parties sort of sending this message of, no, things are basically okay, maybe we'll do a little bit of technocratic tweaking, that doesn't resonate with people's lived experience of unraveling, of genuine difficulty. So, one of the things that I write about is how they get the facts wrong, but the feelings right. And the feeling that I think that they're tapping into is a deep unfairness of, okay, maybe people are scheming in rooms and that you're not in. And they spin it into conspiracy theories, and they also scapegoat very well, but it's the feeling that they're getting right that centrist parties are really missing with this sort of reassuring message.
Let's talk about the situation in the United States, because you've talked about people's needs, them voting in a certain way here in Europe because they feel like their needs aren't met. Yeah. We're seeing similar things, and we continue to see similar things in the United States. Just tell me about...
Well, this is part of what I worry about with this sort of, looking at Macron, his fear message of, okay, we need a snap election because we can't, let this happen. The right is so scary. I think what's happened with the way in which the newish right is rebranding is they're kind of have this message of like, we're your bully, we're your bad guy. Things are so bad that don't you want a bad guy on your side? And Trump does that very, very well, as you know. He's really embracing his outlaw image. He goes straight from the conviction to, a huge stadium, mixed martial arts stadium, where he's greeted as a kind of a mob boss, really. Like, people are really liking the idea that he breaks the rules, that he is a little bit scary. And that is one way of responding to your own feelings of insecurity, is like, just get a tough guy on your side. That's mob politics. So I think the right is tapping into this, unfortunately, better than, someone like Biden, who keeps being like, haven't you seen the latest economic numbers? Things are great. And people are going, well, they don't feel great.
And you've been extremely vocal on this situation, especially the war in Gaza. Most recently, about a month ago, you gave a speech that went viral during Seder, and you talked about a need for an exodus of Zionism. That you had a lot of people supporting you. You had people who were also saying, well, Zionism to me means the existence of the state of Israel. How do you respond and deal with that because of your own personal heritage as well?
Yeah, the speech was during Passover, the second night of Passover, and it was an event organized by a very large Jewish and growing Jewish peace organization, Jewish Voice for Peace in the United States, that's been calling for a ceasefire for a long time, and is really organizing a new generation, a generational shift. That is what I was talking about in that speech, which is an exodus from Zionism. It's a generation that is saying that their Jewishness needs to be disentangled from the actions of an ethno-state, the actions of a state that has defined Jewish identity and Jewish safety as a project of maintaining a Jewish demographic majority at all costs, which necessarily sees Palestinians as a demographic threat, therefore lesser human beings, which needs to be understood if we try to understand, well, how can this state that claims to be so moral justify the targeting of civilians on the scale that we're seeing, justify the killing of children, the maiming? It's only within this context of a logic that sees Palestinians as less than human or lesser human, and sees this goal of maintaining a Jewish demographic majority as the essence of Jewish safety. And so there is an exodus that is going on. So during Passover, it seemed like the right time to say it, of many of us saying, this is not our Judaism. It betrays the values that we believe in, that connects us to Judaism. I'm not saying this is all Jews who believe this. It's still a minority, but it really is a huge shift that's happening.
And just finally, I know you said that this election is a sort of really difficult election and choices, but what do you think is going to happen?
In the United States? I'm not in the, I don't progress, I don't predict, honestly. I would just, like I said, it's the hardest election of my lifetime. I personally don't feel comfortable telling people that they shouldn't vote according to their conscience when their conscience is screaming at them that this is the worst thing that they have ever seen in their lives in Gaza. But that said, I genuinely believe that Trump would be much worse. I believe that we're tipping into something extremely dangerous, but I don't think we have any good choices on the ballot right now.